Hi guys, I'm just going to give everyone just a minute or so just to join in today's session as well. I've not put any music on today, so it's a little bit quiet. I'm just testing to see whether or not it would give us a better quality of feed, because I've noticed watching some of the lives back. Hi guys, thanks for joining. Watching some of the lives back, I have noticed that some of the feed has not been so great. So I apologise. I've switched everything off in my entire house. So hopefully that will help with today. Okay, so today we're actually doing a creative haircut. This is as part of our introduction to classic, contemporary and creative haircutting course that I set up for us this week. As well, this is the final demonstration of day 3. Day 3 also has a quiz, which is live now on Pivot Point as well. Which you'll be able to answer once we finish today's exercise as well. The look that I'm actually going to be working on today, you can see here a little bit as well. I'm going to lift up slightly. It's a curly head look. It's going to be long and it is going to be a creative cut. I did place the head sheets on the story earlier as well, and you can see that if you've taken a moment to look through those, you'll see that what we're actually creating today is a disconnected stack layering effect. It's actually layering layers upon layers that are not connected to one another, and then that creates volume and width and different textures. Works really, really well on naturally curly or permed hair. This blockhead has really wavy hair, and I actually thought, well, it's perfect as well. So I've been provoking it. I put treatment on it last night as well and dried it in, and it came out in this beautiful boho wave. I absolutely loved it. It's actually a shame that I'm cutting it because I kind of didn't want to cut it, but I thought, hey, well, we're going to make it look even better. So I'm actually going to work with the curls naturally. I'm going to diffuser dry them as well, and I'm going to be creating the technique. The technique is disconnected stack layering. Just to repeat, it works in sections starting at the front, which will create a fringe, and then we work back into longer sections as well. I'm just going to take you through very briefly now through my head sheet as well. So I'm actually going to pick the camera up and turn it round, guys. You can see it just behind me, but I'm actually going to turn you round. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Right. Hope you guys can see. Ooh, a bit wonky there. So this is disconnected stack layering. You can see the blue line represents the sections that I'm going to be taking. And each section is elevated up at 90 degrees at the frontal lobe, and then at the apex, and then at the crown as we work back through the head, and a square line is cut. They do not connect to one another. You can see they're disconnected like stacks as well. You can also see that represented here as well, how it will actually look. On curly hair, it will create a really different kind of variance in texture as well. The section pivots as well. So you'll see they started diagonally and then they pivot to become vertical. Well, diagonal vertical, but almost on the vertical in the back. You can see the actual expanded form of the look if the hair was to be expanded out. And it creates these interesting layers of disconnection. My mood inspirations, my mood board is basically the shake cut, first developed in like the 70s. You'll see this one here. Actually, this is my own work. I created this about 4 years ago on a guy. So this cut is unisex as well. Men, women, non-binary. Anyone can have it as well. So it's a unisex haircut as well. And I just love it. I mean, you guys probably have realised by now I'm a huge fan of anything that's... anything with a long fringe. And I'm right there. It's my thing as well. Okay, guys. Right, let's go. Now, creative haircutting. How do we get creativity? Well, it's not from reading fashion magazines, even though they do help, don't get me wrong, and by all means subscribe. But you won't find it from just reading a fashion magazine. Creativity comes from within as well. And many people have a misconception that creative cutting is actually very short, very severe, and very architectural. And in many instances, yes, it is. But also, creative haircutting can be long, it can be soft, it can be feminine, it can be curly. It can be many things. Creative cutting is an emotion. Is an emotion. It's a cut that evokes an emotion. Sorry, I get that out right. Took a minute there. And that's what we're doing today. I'm creating this haircut to evoke an emotion. And the emotion that I'm creating today is a 70s retro influence mixed in with 2020 cutting techniques. And we've got that loose beach vibe to it as well. I love lived-in hair. I hate hair that's over blow-dried, over-processed. I like it to be natural. I like it to be clean. I like it to be fresh as well. So this is right up my street in terms of what I would say my hairdressing was as well. So again, I wanted to show that to you, that a creative haircut doesn't necessarily have to be very short and very, very severe as well. Some of those little tips that I gave there are some of the answers to the quiz as well. All right, I'm going to go straight in. I'm going to actually work behind the client all the way through this cut. If I was graduating the look to create a very stacked out effect, like stacked graduation, I would work at the front because I would pull the hair to graduation level towards my body. But if I want to create layers, I'll pull up so you stand away from it. So you're always thinking, pull it towards yourself. You always naturally pull everything towards yourself. It's what we're humanly programmed to do. So stand where you want it to be cut as well. So if I stood at the front and tried to layer it, more likely I'm going to end up with a graduation angle rather than a layering angle as well. So that's one consideration that I need to make. My first section, which is here, is the fringe. So this is going to be cut in one section. I'm then going to take 3 sections through this point for the sides here on the slight diagonal back as represented here on the lovely head sheet as well. You'll see that in the story. You need to decide though where your pivot point is. And no, that's not just an online learning resource, that is actually something we use in hairdressing. The pivot point is when the sections stop being totally diagonal and pivot to become almost vertical. I've chosen the high crown because I feel that's the best place to pivot from and around, because then I'm going to get even distribution. Even though I'm disconnecting sections, I need the disconnected panels to be the same on both sides as well. So I'm going to cut one side, then the other side, one side, then the other side. So I'm going to work the sections together because that's how the haircut will be formulated through here as well. Okay, time check, that's great. I'm going to use maximum tension. That's a really good point. Even though I've got curly hair, well, I'm going to be honest, this isn't curly, this is wavy. That's a wave, what we're seeing here. Anything from straight to wavy, I still work with maximum tension and sometimes minimal tension. Anything curly to very curly to tightly curled, I make a considered and educated decision about how much tension I'm going to apply. You'll see one of the actual videos on my own personal Instagram, my Craig Kingston Hair Instagram, my Instagram for hair, where I'm actually cutting with no tension whatsoever. That hair was tightly curled and you don't need tension on it. So you've got to make that decision on how much tension you're going to apply, why you're going to apply that attention, and what will it give you. I can't necessarily say on curly hair don't do this and on straight hair don't do that. You've got to make those decisions. But my recommendation is anything straight to wavy, apply tension to get the shape. Anything curly to tightly curled, make a decision about how the hair will react once it's pulled and curled as well. Because again, obviously the consideration with curly hair is cutting it too short as well. The block is quite low at this point, so I'll lift it up once I cut the fringe, but obviously I'm going to be layering, so obviously I need to have it quite low down as well. Again, this section is quite large, as we can see here as well, so I'm just going to divide it into 3. I'm going to pull it down to the section I want. I'm working with a long fringe, because it's going to rise up as well. So again, I'm assessing how much tension I'm pulling on the hair as well. It is at graduation level, so I am graduating the fringe and layering the rest of the haircut. I do want the fringe to have a slight bevel to it as well, and all I'm going to do is just simply square cut a line all the way through there as well. And you can see already what I do as soon as I start cutting, I start looking for its reaction. Now, wavy and curly hair will give that to you quite quickly. It'll actually show you how it's reacting to the actual shape as well. So I can see the reaction there straight away. And I'm really happy with that length, actually. It's not too long, it's not too short. I'm cutting a square fringe at a graduation angle. Sorry, I'm cutting a round fringe, but into a square line. So it will round off at the edges as well. Give me a shout that the sound and the feed is okay as well, guys. That would be really helpful for me as well. Just thumbs up would be really cool. Just to keep it updated on, because obviously we're not doing it with any music today. I just wanted to see if that's going to improve the feed, because I know that yesterday when I watched it back, it wasn't so great. Square, graduation level. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Georgia. Appreciate that. Thanks, Trace. That's cool. You see my thumb on my fit scissors here? This helps steady my hand as well. Curly hair and wavy hair sometimes actually bends around your fingers. If it bends around your fingers, this finger here that I'm tapping, move out and up like that. What it'll do, it'll sit over that section there, and then you can cut it. Because what it tends to do, it tends to wrap around your finger, and then you're going like that, and sometimes you can cut yourself. So just elevate this finger up, and then it'll stretch the hair out, and you can then cut it as well. Really great tip that I learned yesterday. See, you're 20 years in and I'm still learning stuff, and that's why I love this job so much. I'm going to actually just keep the hair nice and damp. I am going to be doing a diffuser blow dry, but what I love about this haircut, it could air dry as well. Air drying is going to be something that possibly we'll be doing a lot of over the summer months when we reopen, because again, we don't know what the rules are going to be about using hair dryers, but we want to be prepared. Maybe air dry haircuts are going to be the next big thing. You know, they could be the next big fashion as well. So I'm sort of preempting that. I've got a little bit of a subdivision going on here because this is where my pivot point's going to be. So it's going to be diagonal sections going back, and then they're going to pivot round. Like segments of an orange is the best way. I'll show you what the first section is going to be. It's going to be very, very thin as well. I'm just going to take a little bit less. I'm going to take this section, I'm going to twist it away. Twisting hair like this when it's naturally curly is really good because you're doing nothing but encouraging the curl and keeping your sections nice and clean as well. Sectioning is really crucial in this haircut because we're doing something disconnected from one another to create that stacked, but we want it symmetrical on both sides, which is why I cut both sides together at the same time. So I'm actually just taking the section on this side now, and I'll show you how that looks. As you can see, these are the two sections either side. I'll try and tilt up. Yeah, you can sort of see it there a little bit as well. Which is why I stand behind the client, because I'm actually looking to check to see if everything's totally symmetrical. That's great. I'm going to start with this side first. And everything is 1 centimetre above the last section as well. So I'm taking this section here from the fringe. It's not going to connect to the fringe. I'm lifting up, I can see the guide of the fringe. I then work 1 centimetre up, and I then cut a square line. It's a square line that goes out like that, so you even bring all of the length up to this. And it's going to create this very layered effect as well. So I now take this part of the section up. I'm just spending a good few seconds combing, so making sure it's nice and combed through here. And then I'm going to work up the section through. So I now take all that away. Just going to check that once more. That's great. So it's going to start to give me that really layered look as well. I'm going to try and lift her up a little bit so you can see her a little bit more. She just came off there. She didn't actually lift up at all then. There we go. I think I should manage. Wish I was a bit taller, and it probably would help with these demonstrations. Yeah, so you can start to see the actual layered look that I'm actually creating here as well. And again, instantly, I'm assessing its reaction, and I'm already loving what's happening. The hair's just literally coming alive, and that's what we want. I'm going to take this section here. I know this is my section for the opposite side as well. Sectioning is key to a look like this. Take your time to section it. Use clips if you want to really be neat and tidy. But eventually you'll want to get to a stage where you don't necessarily have to fully rely on clips. And I'm just square cutting. So the line continues out like this. So you pull all that up and the line continues. Imagine a box sat on top of the head. And just go through, because I'm restyling here. This is a restyle. So because I'm restyling, I've got to really make sure that I've actually cut all sections of the hair. And I'm taking my time with this because I would have extra time in the salon for this as well, because it would be a restyle appointment. as well. And I'm just combing it from both sides as well, like really lifting it up. And again, just ensuring that I am actually working through to really create that stacked out effect. This gives you a sort of a graduated look actually at the front, but it's a lot more layered and it will be short. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this on your classic feathered, forward graduation look. I'd still stick to your classic technique, but it's an option if you want to do something a little bit more creative, or if your client wants something a little bit different. Again, I'm lifting this up and out, straight from here, all of the hair comes up to the layering angle. And again, 90 degrees at the frontal lobe, and then it's cut through. I'm just going to take a moment now to assess what I've actually worked on so far. Just really making sure it's nice and symmetrical. That's great. Again, I'm assessing the texture. This is where the mirror would come into play. So I'm using you guys as my mirror today, and I'm already seeing this imaginative textures coming out as well. So super cool. Next section, I'm going to take my next two sections. This section is 3 sections at the sides. So this is next section. Again, you do have to be careful on the sectioning as well for this look. So I'm just going to divide them because I need them the same on the opposite side. So now I'm going through, and as well, you can refer back to the head sheet for this look. You'll see that the sectioning has been made on both sides. And your tip is, you've got to cut both sides together. Don't cut one side and then the other side. Because what you'll find is you'll be matching them up constantly and looking for where all your... Because there's multiple guides in this haircut. Because you're not following the guide. I know we tell you constantly to follow the guide all the way through. But when we actually come to creative cutting, we break the rules. There's a saying, I don't know who actually says it actually. Learn the rules like a pro, break them like an artist. And I always love that saying because I think it's great. So you can see, I can see my guide from last time. I'm then going to go up 1 centimetre. And I'm going to cut the next line. And then once that guide's in, I then know that I can then take that through to the opposite side. Sorry guys, this is a little bit tangled, this block. She has had some colour work previously and she didn't respond well to that, to be honest, but she's having a good cut today as well. So again, you've got multiple guides going on now. So this is where your technical aspect and your creative aspects are coming along. And again, it's important to promote the uniqueness of these haircuts to your clients, should you get the opportunity to do something on this level as well. And I'm just block cutting everything through. And I'm just making sure that everything's staying neat. And again, I'm assessing the reaction instantly to see what we're creating. And it's going to create all these different textures at the perimeter edge, which really helps with curly hair to create something like really diverse. I'm going to take the next section. I'm going to subdivide just at the parietal bone as well, because it's quite a big section, all working from centre forehead right through to the ear as well. I can't manage all that hair at once. And I also just need to really make sure that I do establish an even line from one side to the next. So again, just by subdividing that out, I can achieve that quite easily. Any questions, feel free to ask. As well. I'm excited to dry this and show you how the expanded form of the texture is. I'm going to spend just a little time talking about curly hair as well, because I know from my years of teaching, a lot of learners have said to me, they're a bit more intimidated by curly hair and they don't really understand curly hair so much and this, that and the other. And it's my favourite thing to cut. I absolutely love it. And for me, I always make sure that I dry it 100% when I've cut it, because I need to see what we call its true expansion, how it will fully expand once it's fully dry. So I will ensure that it is fully dry before the client leaves, because I need to see how it's going to look once it's fully dried in case I need to make any alterations as well. So again, I'm just assessing to see what I've created. So again, tip one for me would be to ensure it's fully dry as well. Tip two would be curly hair has a really good balance of, well, good curly hair has a really great balance. This is my third section, by the way. So again, it will go 1 centimetre over the previous guide. So again, I'm going to divide this into 2. So really, really good curly hair has an even amount of moisture and texture. And when you're actually drying curly hair, what you want to ask your clients is what kind of curl they're after. Are they looking for a curl that's got moisture in it? Or are they looking for a curl that's got texture in it? I like an evenness of both, but I personally like curls that are more on the textured side. And by that, I mean drier. They've got a drier texture to them as well. So that's sort of something that I'd really be kind of looking for really as well. But some clients want something that's got a lot more moisture to it, as well, I have to think then. So it's all about product, really, when it comes to curly hair. If you're looking for something that's got a lot more texture to it, then you're going to be working with things like sea salt spray, which is what I'm going to work with today. If you're looking for something with more moisture in it, you're looking at creams, you're looking at lotions, you're looking at hydration products as well. And you can mix the two together to create something in the middle as well. But really, when it comes to a client actually talking to me, particularly when they say about, I want it a little bit more textured, a bit more beachy, or I want something nourished and hydrated, that's how it arrives me at the product that I'm going to choose that day. And then I'll be able to advise the client on that product as well. So I can see my section from the previous section that I've just cut. I then go 1 centimetre above it and then cut the line. Again, so it creates that disconnected stacked effect. Actually, that is not 1 centimetre, it's more like 1 inch. So I'm actually going to take that a little bit shorter. There we go, that's cool. That's great. I'm going to bring the other section to it as well. And you're always looking for your longest guide in case you do get stuck on a disconnected creative cut. You think, where's my longest guide? Because we're working from short layers to long layers in a disconnected stacked like fashion. So that's where I'd know. So that is primarily what I'm looking for when I'm actually creating something like this. I'm working wet to dry at the moment. You'll see the hair is drying as I'm actually working through, because I want to see how it's reacting to the texture. But when I do my diffuser dry, I am going to wet it back down because I want to see if I can really encourage the expansion. But again, that's not always necessary, especially when we're working with hairs such as this as well, because I'm looking to assess the texture of what's actually happening. It's directed 90 degrees straight up as well. And again, you're looking for that longest guide. And I'm just matching the sections side to side as we work through. Again, and again, it is about that clean sectioning. Working with hair that's longer, we sometimes struggle to get that as well. So I think you need to just take that extra moment to comb it and to make sure it's in the right place before you start cutting. I'm just going to continue that square line through. And again, just sort of assessing that shape. And what it's going to do is, because the layers are longer and longer and longer, it'll start to stack. So it'll stack out and create that expansion as well, which is going to give me that really varied, cool, like lived-in texture as well. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to wet it all back down as we go through. So I have actually reached the point where I'm going to start to pivot. So now the pivot sections are diagonal, and then they'll start to pivot to become vertical at the back as well. I'm just going to take a moment to show you how this actually works. So you can actually see the disconnected angles as I actually work through as well. Just give me a moment whilst I comb it. And while she decides to come off the block as well. So I'm going to come a little bit closer because I'm going to show you now all these different disconnected angles as we work through. Wow, she's so naughty. Sorry, excuse me, guys. She's been through the walls. So what we've got first angle, then we've got second, then we've got third, and then we've got fourth and the last one as well. So you see what we've got is all, that's actually the perfect, can you see there? That's one stack, that's second stack, and then there's other stacks in here as well. That's another stack, another stack, another stack. And it creates this really interesting texture that when it's provoked, it will create a really interesting silhouette throughout here as well, which is perfect for like an editorial look, because it's going to give you this width and volume and interesting movements and shapes as we actually work through the back. I'm just going to make a visual assessment now of what I've actually created so far. That's cool. It's going to be quite long in the back as well, so it is going to be a little mullety as well. Got a little bit of the 80s coming in now as well. So I'm going to wet it down just a little bit because I feel like it's probably getting too dry. Always have your water spray about an arm's width because you'll get a nice fine mist always through there as well. So that's really cool as well. Keep this hydrated. We are going to wet all this back down later. But I just want to really make sure that I've wet all this back down. I'm going to show you my sections in the back, but it is demonstrated on the head sheet. So again, this is my pivot point. So everything now comes from this point. My sections will come at either side like this. So I'm going to take one side and I'm going to really make sure it's nice and clean. So I'm just going to comb this away like so. And then I'm going to come around the other way and I'm going to do the same on the opposite side as well. And sectioning is really key when creating focal point disconnection because, you know, like I said, one section's disconnected from the other, but I want it to be same on both sides. I'm not creating asymmetric. I'm creating something that's balanced as well. Okay, so I'm taking this first section. I'm going to elevate it up. Again, I'm just subdividing this section because it's too big. I'm going to take some from the previous section as well, make sure it's enough. So you can assess where the previous guide is. So you can go 1 centimetre above. So we've got the last guide and we've got the next guide. And we'll just cut that through. And again, they all just go square, but they're now pivoting. So they're pivoting, but they're all square. Pretty simple, really. Well, I like to think so. But again, sometimes when someone creates a haircut, like if I'm on a course and I'm watching somebody else's creations, it takes me a little while actually to understand what their concept and their idea was as well. And you may find that with me, but that's why I find head sheets really work, because I do find that you get that sort of idea in a different format as well. I'm just going to check this once more through there. I'm just going to lay that flat, remove some of this hair that I've cut away, and then again go through to the opposite side. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here to help, as always. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit from the other side, and I'm directing up. You can actually see how this section's actually working now. It's actually, you can see it's starting to really, actually, you can see it's starting to pivot through there as well. Okay. So I'm going to work this through. Up, up and over. That's great. I can see the guide clearly and I love seeing those layers of disconnection in there. It's going to give me these really interesting shapes. Would I recommend this for straight hair? Potentially, yeah. I mean, but you'd have, you'd see lines in it, but I think it's got to be about purpose and intention. What we're talking about here is creative haircutting and it's got to have an intended purpose. It's got to be fit for purpose. It's got to have design behind it, And if you want lines in it, create lines in it as well. Okay, I'm just lifting up. I'm just checking. I'm going right underneath with the comb right into the nape. And I'm playing up, because sometimes when you pull up these little bits underneath, they get stuck. So go in with your comb like deep like that and pull out like this. So I go in and then I pull up, and then that's going to give me better tension, just to really make sure that everything is nice and even. I'm about to slip on some hair here. Okay, cool. And again, assessing that reaction. 5 out of 5 on the quiz. Yay. Well done, Chloe. Superstar, as always. Okay, next 2 sections I'm going to show you. And then we'll be on our last section, which is divided into 2. Will it be? Don't know, actually. Maybe not. See how I feel as well. I'm just going to quickly show you these sections. And then we're ready to start drying it. This is where the fun magic really happens when... So as you can see, so the sections are starting to come, and then this will be the central panel. This will be the longest part of the haircut as well. as well. Okay, so again, take your section from the front. Well done to everyone that's been doing the quizzes. Just to let you know, you are required to sit all, if you want the certificate for this course, this little online course we're doing, you need to have sat all 3 course quizzes. This is for Michael John learners on Pivot Point. All 3 quizzes, submit the headsheet assignment creating either this cut, the contemporary cut or the classic cut, or one of your own. It's up to you. And you must have watched the lives as well. And yes, we do take registers. On the lives, we can see who's watched them. So I'm taking this section, I can see the guide, go 1 centimetre above it, cut the line as well. That's great. I'm going to lift up this hair all the way from underneath, all the way up to the square. Make sure I keep it tight. I need to take this right up and over, and just out like that. And again, it's going to really start to help with this really cool expansion that we're going to get on the ends as well. Same on the opposite side. And then we're on to the final section as well. Lift up and over. So again, I just need to really make sure that you can actually see, well, that's a really good image there, you can actually see where the previous guide was, and you can actually see how much longer the section was over it as well, so that's well. Do we do the head sheets online? Yes. So the head sheet, when you click on head sheet assignment on Pivot Point, it will give you 3 options. You can either use the photograph version of the head sheet to draw on your phone. There's a Word version of it, which you'll need either your phone or computer, or there's a PowerPoint version. If you can't do any of those, drop me a DM or email me, and I can arrange for you to do it hand-drawn. You can draw it on a piece of paper if you want, or I could even have the head sheets posted to you as well, and you can do it that way. So I'm really flexible, guys. In fact, I like it when you do it kind of your own way, because I think it gives this that really cool sort of diversity to what the evidence we see as well. So I'm just matching up as well to previous side as well. And you can see all that disconnection through there. 1 section, 2 section through here. I'm just bringing all this section up from the back as well. I'm going to have to spend just a couple of seconds really combing this. So I really have to make sure it's nice and neat. Otherwise I won't get the right amount of, can you see, just by combing it, I've actually gathered all that extra hair as well. Oh, you're welcome. And I can definitely make sure it's nice and refined. So we're on to our final section now, which is right at the back. This central panel through here as well. You can see that's the central panel. You'll be able to now see that when we actually elevate it up, we've got lots of different levels of disconnection. That's 1 level, that's 2 level, and then we've got 3 level, and then 4 level. So they go stacked, like a stacked sort of sectioning technique, working through there. The final section, I'm going to bring up centrally. I'm going to pull all of this up into a central point. I'm going to take a section from the last section that I cut. Sorry, I'm just going to push this down. I'm going to need to change my... and I'm just going to see where the absolute last layer was, and then disconnect this last section 1 centimetre above that. So that was there. I'm going to go 1 centimetre above. Can you guys see? Yeah, you can see as well. So I can see there, it's dropping away. That was the last section, and this one's just above it as well. Pull all that up. It's quite a large section at the back, so if you feel like you needed to subdivide it, you could as well. But in the interest of time, excuse me, sorry. Sometimes with curly hair, you need a little bit more patience. But she has had bleach on it as well, so I'd have to be mindful as well. So I'm just taking all this up. And again, final section, and then lift up, and then just cut the line through as well. The actual length of the hair at the back doesn't reach at all to the final section. Let's just double check. I'm going to have to wet it down a little bit now, and then actually go through, and then we'll create this really cool, super cool blow dry in a few moments time. Yeah, that's great. Just going to do a bit of a cross check, just by, I mean, you can't really cross check this fully because obviously we've created these panels. What you need to have is intention, understanding of design. So if you're still on your basics, you know, learning your lines, layers, graduation, you know, I don't recommend this as your first haircut because this requires an understanding of the classics as well. That's cool. I'm going to leave the perimeter completely untouched. So I'm actually just going to take it off the headbutt to show you what we've actually created. This like super dishevelled look that's really got these disconnected, interesting layers and panels in there as well. I'm actually going to brush it. I'm going to wet it down. I'm going to work some product in and then I'm going to diffuse it as well. I could dry it from this, but I do feel it's a bit matted. And because obviously I've worked all these different panels in here as well. You know, if you wanted to go for something really super dishevelled, but I do want a little bit of like, I want a little bit of glamour to it. I don't want it too urban or too rocky. I want sort of a little bit of, chicness to it as well. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to give it a good brush, just with a dressing brush in this instance as well. It could be worn straighter, but I wouldn't recommend this to be worn straight. Just to be totally honest. Lydia's watching them with me on my phone. All right, that's great. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. Thanks for that, Trace. Appreciate that. Watching them together. And obviously, you won't watch them separately. So you just, you know, live in the same house. So, hope everyone's having fun today. Looks like a nice day as well. Cool. Right, I'm just going to wet it through. Just a little bit. Because I want to actually re-blow dry it fully. And I'm just actually working, and you can actually, as I'm drying it, see what's kind of happening with some of the overlay sections on the fringe actually, and now that sort of adds to this diversity of textures. I'm definitely saturating the ends. You'll find that when you go into the diffuser blow dry, you'll find that it dries the ends really quick. So little tip is just always re-wet down your ends because they'll dry first. Maybe not so much your roots because they'll dry. They'll take a little bit more to dry as well. So okay, sorry guys, I'm just gonna time on me on. I'm not gonna run out of time probably, but I can do most of the blow dry on here and then video the rest of it for you guys to see the final result as well. That's great. Right, so I'm going to work with some sea salt spray. I'm going to work with IQ sea salt spray. We actually have this at the academy. I'm going to work with quite a lot actually because I do want to create a little bit of a urbany sort of texture to the hair, and I'm just going to sort of, as I spray, scrunch it in a little bit, cover the face as you're spraying that texture through as well. I'm just going to see where's that going. What's this bit doing as well? And again, I love diffusers. Little tip as well, I love to dry men's hair with a diffuser. It helps create that natural texture. I use a diffuser on my own because my hair's a little bit wavy and curly as well, so I can create lots of different shapes. It's really great for those. It doesn't have to necessarily be always curly as well when you're actually working with a diffuser. It can also be if you just want to dry the hair naturally as well, but we can always use dryers for that as well. Okay, right, I'm just gonna wipe down the section just very quickly before I start my dry as well, because I've got a little bit of mishap here, and I've got a little brush as well. Health and safety first. Excuse me guys, sorry, just got my little brush here. Brush up my hair. Short interval whilst we adhere to health and safety. Cool, that's great. Amazing. Hi guys, I'm back. Right. Hey, here she is. So, right, we're going to start with blow dry. I'm going to higher her up so you guys can see the ends a little bit more. I'm going to dry the back first, I think. I'm going to work with sort of a loose technique. I work with high heat and minimum speed, always. I don't want to blow the curl, I just want to heat it. I just want to create that heat to get that dryness. This is creative cutting. I'm not wanting to create really beautiful curls. I do want a bit of glamour, but I'm going for something editorial. It's going to have a slight, really bit grungy, but I want glamour at the same time. Grunge glamour, that's what I'm going to call it as well, because again, this is creative cutting. And I want to show you what we can do when it comes to expansion as well. Okay, so I've got my dryer, I've got my product on. I feel like the ends are really nice and saturated through there as well. I'm creating a more of an editorial look blow dry now. This would be something that I'd intend to photograph because that's why I'm working with a lot of product. When we do editorial work, we do a little trick called product layering. So it's working multiple products on one another to create a very editorial image as well. It's not necessarily we do something on clients because it's very layered with product. And it's just for a certain image as well. Okay, right, so I've got my dryer, got my diffuser, got my other dryer with me as well. This one fits my diffuser head as well. I would always ask the client to tip their head slightly back. I would also turn the chair back as well. So I'm actually going to just tilt her head on this instance and then start the dry. When you actually start to diffuse the dry, you actually work the section at the bottom here. So then you would go up. You actually want to dry each section before moving on to the next. So always just place your hand in just to assess that the temperature is okay at the root area as well. So I can actually now turn the dryer on and I'll start to dry. I won't release this section until this area is fully dry. So I'm just going to go in and keep checking. After that, we move on to this next section underneath here. Always concentrate on the nape first and then work to the crown. Sometimes it can be difficult to get this under bit dry. You can take sections if you like as well, but it's typically not done that way. I'm working more with my fingers now to just sculpt the curl. You don't necessarily have to cup it. You can also use your fingers as like a manipulator. That's if you feel you're going to get a better result. Just going through the inside now to check it's fully dry. I'm just going to change my angle now. You can see I've really started to get that expansion on it as well. I'm going for something quite editorial, you know, but you could do something a lot softer. You could air dry this. I'll actually put the picture of this air dried as well on tomorrow. I'll probably try and air dry it as well, so you can see a different way of drying it, because I definitely think air drying is going to be a big thing this season as well, just letting hair dry naturally. Going to move over to the other side, and we're really starting to see it's like, wow. That's super cool, very editorial look, but again, you know, you could do this more in a more commercial way, but again, we're talking, you know, this is creative cutting, so again, I wanted to create something that was very editorially focused, you know, something I'd seen in a magazine or I'd create for a collection. We're starting to dry that fringe area now to see how that's sort of looking. And again, these disconnected panels will start to reveal themselves once the foam is dried. I'm going to slightly change my angle now to finish off the final look. Oh, sorry, she's stuck. Slight technical hitch, peeps. Sorry, guys. Here we go. There we go. That's great. Amazing. Sorry, guys. So again, you're really starting to see that expanded form come to life now, you know, in terms of the volume and the texture. And this is what the disconnection does. It actually starts to... The disconnection elements of the haircut actually create the interesting textures that we're seeing right now. Just going to dry this fringe section. make sure it's 100% dry as well, because you can't chest the expansion of the hair unless you fully know. I know there used to be a lot of, well, let it dry a bit, but realistically, if you're actually doing the restyle cut, you need to see it in its full expansion. So I do need to fully dry it. But that's subjective. It's only my recommendation. I love these disconnected pieces sitting over here. You can push them back, you can wear them a different way. Thanks, Mark. I was unsure about how much volume I'd get from this block, but you know, I think she's so cool. I don't know why she's got this much curl in her. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I didn't want to cut her before because I loved the curl, but I'm so glad I did. Now, mate, I'm going to shoot it and everything. It's going to be really cool. I think she needs a bit. She's going to get some colour next week. Not light now. I'm going to probably make her a bit darker. So my three models, my three blockheads that I did this week for creative colour, for creative cutting, I'm going to do next week for the creative colour course as well. So next week's creative colour, guys, there'll be a course with questions and assignments, and again another certificate up for grabs as well. So you heard it here first. Okay, I think we've pretty much got it. We got there. So that's what I've created today. Again, this is the editorial version of the look. This is creative cutting. But again, just to recap over the quiz questions, you know, does creative haircutting come from reading fashion magazines? No, that is false. They're giving you the answers to the quiz now as well. Creative cutting is an emotion, is something that evokes an emotion as well. Does it have to be short, severe and architectural? No. It can be soft, long and feminine, as I've demonstrated today. What was the other question as well? And when designing for editorial purposes, when creating a haircut for something like a shoot like this, you would have to consider the overall finished look. So the one thing I'd have to consider about drying the hair like this when I'd shoot it, which I'll try and do a little bit later, is that it could look really frizzy. So I need to understand, is that what I actually want? But what I love is these textured pieces falling over. That disconnection that we're getting through here is really sort of adding something unique to this fringe length here as well. So this is a creative haircut done in a pretty bonkers way. This is so my style. I absolutely love this. I think I want my hair like this now. I think I'm going to grow it. She's inspired me as well. Although if Mark is still watching, he will probably remember when I actually had my hair like this. Many years ago. Tina Turner reference coming up there. And yeah, so guys, hope you've enjoyed our little cutting course this week. I know I've been enjoying seeing your doing the quizzes. I'm really looking forward to receiving your head sheets as well. If anyone needs any help with the head sheets, I can make it happen for anybody. Even if you've not got a computer or a phone or anything, I'll post them to you. You can draw them on a piece of paper, you can draw the faces out, you can take a picture, you can send me the picture. It doesn't matter how the evidence comes. I just want to see you create a head sheet. Thanks, Mark, I really appreciate that. As well, so just sort of get that working, guys. I'm designing this really cool certificate for everybody, and it's just great for your portfolio. You know, as hairdressers, we're always developing, we're always progressing. We're always advancing to that next stage in our career, and I just want to be that person that helps you get there. Even if you take just 5% of what I've done today, I think that's worthwhile as well, because it's just about creating something a little bit different as well. So again, yeah, here's the final look for today. She's wild, crazy as well. Love it. As well, I'd really like to thank Michelle. Michelle, I don't know if she'll see this, but Michelle was actually the first person that ever told me about stack layering back in 2004 when she used to assess me at Michael John when I was doing my advanced qualifications as well. So big up to Michelle, because this works so well on perming. This, if you do a perm as well, it's so cool, or on natural hair. So something like a natural curl like this. Okay guys, need anything, DM me. You know where we are. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and I will see you you'll see me live next week for the Creative Colour course as well. And she'll be back to have some creative colour next week, and we'll dry like this again, and we'll see some really, really super cool stuff. Okie doke, guys. I'm going to upload this live. This live session will be available for the next 24 hours. Okay, so it'll be uploaded in the next few minutes for those that have just joined. Apologies, but you'll be able to see it back again. You can see the whole cut if you like, because I'm about to run out of time. Lovely to see you all again, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.